You want to see Ryan Seacrest? Yeah, you're funny. Sleep at 9 o'clock. I haven't seen any years in it.
Are you able to hear us, Judge? This is very terrible.
Why? Okay, 3 o'clock. Call the meeting to order.
I don't think she can't hear us, or we can't hear her.
Approval of minutes, December 3rd, December 5th, and
Judge, can you hear us now?
December 30th. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Wasn't here for one, I'm gonna let you do the second.
Second, all in favor?
Well, if you wish to.
Did you second or did you?
I guess I did.
Thanks, Dave.
I voted.
Thanks, Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the minutes. Public comment, limit of 3 minutes per person. For maximum public comment of 30 minutes on agenda items only. Do we have any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? Public comment is closed. Discussion and possible motion, Health and Human Services.
Sorry,
That's all
we're
right.
gonna put that one at the end with the closed session. So we're gonna do, if you're okay with it, the judge and the sheriff first, and we're trying to get the judge on right now.
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Is it a tag team?
Yes.
No, well.
Hello.
Hi, Judge. We got you in the meeting now. If you, can you hear us now and everything?
I can hear you, but I don't know why you hear me on the computer, something with the phone on.
Okay, so we'll do the phone then. I disconnected the Teams meeting just so we're not echoing, and then we're just about to start that agenda item now.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Take it away.
Take it away.
What are you discussing?
Discuss court security roles and responsibilities, approved job description for court security officer. Take it away.
So last time we were here, we had changed the job description for a possible court security officer because we posted the job posting for an LESB certified law enforcement officer for a few weeks and received no applicants. So we changed it to LESB certification preferred, and that person would be unarmed in court security. We got an applicant, started her background, she was on board, was okay with the part-time hours, was okay with the no benefits, but this committee did not want to hire that person with that job description. So, I think the judge and I have both done some homework. I reached out to the Department of Justice. Ron Bentley is his name. He is the director of, help me out. Yes, director of training and standards. He oversees all of the education and training standards for law enforcement in Wisconsin. I met with HR. I think there was an email string with HR and the judge mentioned something about a training called the Wisconsin Department of Safety and Professional Services Firearms Certification of Proficiency. So I asked Ron Bentley, the DOJ, because I never heard of that. I asked him what that was, and he said private security companies put their employees through that program, but it's not for credentialed, certified law enforcement agencies. So Ron and I got talking about possible options, and I'll plug my computer in right now. The DOJ does not recognize that course for firearms, so I'll plug this in, and I'll show you the 3 options I think that we have on the table right now. And I'll go through them. Okay, so option 1 is what we had initially had hired last time, is a part-time unarmed. The cost per year is roughly $20,000 to $30,000 a year, 20 to 24 hours per week, $25 an hour without any benefits, not deputized, not sworn. They would have a radio, taser, OC, and handcuffs. Option 2 is something called a court attendant. I had never heard of this. Ron Bentley from DOJ told me about this, and he said he believes there's a couple counties throughout the state that do this. However, he's not exactly sure because the DOJ does not govern court attendants. I don't know the cost of it, but it would be an employee of the clerk of court's office. The judge would grant that person or allow that person to be armed in the courtroom. They would not be deputized, and they would not be sworn.
And is that where they would take that course, the 40-hour course, and allow to carry a gun that way?
Then they could, or Ron didn't know if they had to take that course, or if the judge could just say, I'm granting you permission to have a firearm in the courtroom.
And just a correction, that's a $56 course, not 40.
Firearms is 56 hours, not 40. The third option would be a full-time patrol deputy. The cost would be roughly $90,000 a year. They would be LEC certified, they'd be deputized, they'd be sworn, they'd be a member of the union. Their primary duty would be court security. If there wasn't much court in a day or wasn't much court in a week, their secondary duty would be paper services and patrol. So there's 3 options, I guess, that we've come up with over the last couple weeks as I've been talking to DOJ and Lori and HR.
So on option 2, where does liability fall if, say, heaven forbid, it came to that point and someone had to use their firearm that was delegated to have that firearm?
Lori, would that be a state employee?
No, they'd be a county employee.
Okay, so I'm the county. But I know the
So
sheriff.
maybe I can help and answer that, to say that the liability is always going to lay with the county. And the second job description, so the personnel committee did not approve the option 1, is my understanding. That's not an option that I really supported because it would be having someone with pepper spray and a taser, which isn't going to do a whole lot of good in the courtroom if somebody has a firearm. The job description that I think was provided to all of you was one that included the SPS, I think it is, the 36-hour training for the private security guards or an equivalent. And so when I had met with Ashley and we had talked, you know, one of the big things that came up was the liability for the county. And so the remarks were that the person from the DOJ, which I just got his name today, so I wasn't able to contact him directly, because I was told that he was not recommending that the county do that because the county would be liable. And I really encouraged Ashley to talk to the insurance company, the carrier for the county, because the liability really comes into play if somebody is not trained and not certified. So that would be the problem. If something ever were to come into a court of law, then they would say, well, did you just stick somebody in there who wasn't trained? Did you stick somebody who was in there that wasn't, you know, properly trained in court security and in firearms? So the private security guard training was an option. When Lori and Jeff and I had met, Jeff said that the county has someone who is trained or certified to train people in firearms. This morning, Jeff had said that that would take 40 hours of training and that he couldn't afford to have that person do that training. So the job description that I have submitted with that private security guard training was a 36-hour training based on the security guard, or equivalent. Ideally, they would be certified through someone like Mark Olmsted who can certify, and then they can be deputized because that would be what the sheriff would want. So the new job description really encompasses any of those. It's what route that you would want for the security guards, or for the security training. So to get that certification, I mean, there are, like Sawyer County, I explained to Ashley, one of our retired troopers had indicated that Sawyer County does this, and they then allow transports to carry firearms. And so that's an option, but if we have somebody who can train someone in firearms who's certified in that, then that would be a better option.
Just to clarify one thing, if that person does go through the 36 or 40 or 56-hour firearms course, that still would not make them deputized. The sheriff would not deputize that person because they hadn't gone to the academy and they're not LASB certified.
No, I'm saying if Mark Olmsted did the training.
Right, but they still wouldn't be deputized even if Olmsted did it. They'd have to go through the entire academy for them to be deputized. They'd have that training certificate that showed they completed the firearms course, but the sheriff wouldn't deputize that person because they hadn't gone to the academy, they're not LASB certified. You want to look at the screen?
But it's the same training that they give in the academy for the firearm portion, correct?
Yeah, it'd be close to the same training. So if we put that person through the 40-hour course, which is handgun only, the reason it's 56 hours in the academy is because they also do rifle, but a court security officer wouldn't be carrying a rifle.
True.
They'd have a handgun, so it'd be 40 hours, but they still would not be deputized. So yeah, so they would not.
Because the sheriff would choose not to deputize.
No, so the DOJ would not allow us to deputize that person because they had not gone through the academy, or they would not be LASB certified.
I didn't realize the DOJ can tell the sheriff who he can and can't deputize. I mean, that's not my reading of the statute.
Did you look at 16585?
I can look that up.
16585 4A2. It just talks about how you can't be a certified law enforcement officer unless you've completed the academy set forth by the Wisconsin Training Standards DOJ.
Right, so being a certified law enforcement officer is different than being deputized, so.
I guess
I mean, somebody can be deputized but not be a law enforcement
That's true.
certified.
That
Yeah,
is
true.
true. He is deputized,
Yes,
correct?
yep.
In a different way.
Yep.
Because
So what it comes down to is whether or not personnel feel the court security officer should carry a weapon or have pepper spray and a taser. And then what would be the requirements on the job description?
The only thing the sheriff's office is concerned about is if we do have a person that's not LESB certified and they do have to use their firearm, DOJ will not back us because they were not
What does-
LESB certified.
What does that mean, those DOJ backing?
Like with lawsuits and stuff, so we wouldn't be able to say that yes, this was a certified law enforcement officer. We wouldn't be able to say that yes, they were LESB certified. We wouldn't be able to say that yes, they were deputized. It would just.
But the DOJ doesn't represent the law enforcement agency, nor do they represent the county.
Correct.
So
Well,
if there was a lawsuit, what the courts will look at is, was that person trained properly in firearms? And were they properly trained in court security? But the DOJ doesn't represent the county or the law enforcement agency on anything, so not sure what DOJ backing means.
DOJ wouldn't be able to say that yes, this person did complete the training set forth by us in the academy and they successfully completed it. That's just what Ron told me.
Right, but then we'd be able to show that they were certified.
So did Ron put that in a form of a letter or a written document?
No, it was a phone call.
So, if you get in court, it would be, that's what Ron said. You know, Ron wouldn't have, we don't have that from Ron, right?
I had a phone call with Ron.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, if we're relying on his word and it is not in writing, then as far as I'm concerned, we're not relying on his.
I don't think we have anything in
I
writing.
mean, it doesn't really matter from a practical standpoint what Ron said, because Ron, of course, he's gonna say, if somebody doesn't go through the academy, that they're not certified through the academy, but what is gonna be asked in court is, are they certified in firearms, and are they certified in court security, or trained in court security? So do we need somebody who goes through 60 credits and goes through the law enforcement academy to be a court security officer? Actually, law enforcement academy people are not trained specifically in court security at all. Nothing about the curriculum trains them for court security. That can be done through other organizations. So, we're putting this out there for people to apply, and people who go through the academy, I mean, especially new ones, are they gonna wanna take a job as court security when they envision being on the road? But nothing in that academy prepares them for court security, which is much different than being a road deputy. So that's what the DOJ would say, is they didn't go through the law enforcement academy, but if they go through a training through a certified trainer, then they are trained, and those are the questions from a legal standpoint for liability.
Well, don't we have liability if we're putting somebody in and calling them court security and they're armed with a taser? That's liability that I wouldn't be comfortable with.
We are, I mean, the county is liable, yeah.
Taser can't kill a person, no.
You had some semi-retired folks doing that at this point, right?
And one.
And we had given a raise to that to kind of help you with, refresh my memory I missed part of this last meeting.
Yes.
I'm sorry. But, so I thought that was the process, we thought that would help, that didn't take care of the issue, by the sounds of it, right? So, Are there people out there still willing to do it that are, say, semi-retired on a part-time basis if we were to raise the pay per hour?
I'm not currently aware of one.
Okay.
We used to have transport deputies that were recently retired guys from our department. And within the last 2 to 4 years, they've even stopped doing that just because they want to be retired.
When they're done, they're done.
And we've had posting out for 2 months.
2 months.
2 months now, with no applicants.
No, LESB certified.
No LAS certified, yeah.
We have had some applicants. 2 of them have already failed backgrounds for our department. One of them was in the interview process for the jail and was not selected to move forward. Another one has been hired and quit from our department at least twice in the last 2 to 3 years. So there's no feasible applicants that we have right now.
What's our average, anybody know the average hours per year that this position takes?
About 20 to 25
A week?
per week.
Per week.
Yeah, when the position was set up, it was set up for 2,000 hours, but we have not hit that.
I think it's in the budget for 1240.
1240.
1240,
Yeah.
not 2,000, 1240?
1240, yeah.
Okay,
And we're close to that, I think.
but we've not went over that, so.
How many hours did Pete have when he was done?
He averaged, I think Miranda looked, it was 22 or 23 hours a week. In 20.
No, I mean, when he resigned, how many hours did he have in for the year?
Oh, Miranda has that, but like, I think it was 22 to 23 hours per week.
Yeah, it was average rate at that 22.
I only asked because I think what Pete had mentioned that he was getting close to that 2,000 hours or whatever the number of hours was for the limit.
I think it was 1240.
1240.
Well, and the other reason I'm bringing this up, it'd be cheaper to have somebody that already had the training, pay them more on a part-time basis than paying the benefits and having a full-time employee, but if that's not the answer, then.
Yeah, and somebody who's retired probably doesn't wanna be that flexible.
Right.
You know, like, okay, I'll work Tuesday and Thursday, but I don't wanna work
I don't wanna work Monday, Wednesday,
whenever you want me to work again.
Well, somebody who's retired and collecting Wisconsin retirement would only be able to work 2/3 anyway.
Okay.
That's true.
Is that a dollar number on that or in hours when they retire like that? Must be a dollar amount, isn't it?
The 2/3.
Well, that they can
fine.
collect per year, is there like a dollar limit that they can make per year working a second job after they retire, or do you think it's hourly? Or hours?
It's hourly, it's 2/3 time.
Okay,
2/3 of part-time. I'm sorry, 2/3 of full-time employment.
Pete was at 1,020 hours.
Thank you.
Why is the cost unknown on option 2?
That would be a clerk of courts employee, and I don't know what they would pay them.
So, Judge, do you have any idea what you would pay if we went with option 2?
That's the court attendant
Well,
judge.
The thought would be that the wage would be what it is, then there would be the cost of whatever training that is, but if that could be worked out through the certified trainer that the county has, and then of course, you know, it'd be the yearly training for the court security that they have, you know, that's what, 3 or 4 days.
That's an annual thing?
Yep,
So.
yeah, usually in March.
Are you saying like 25 per hour then? Without
Yeah.
benefits? Okay.
Are you asking us to approve 2?
I'm asking you guys to let us know what you guys think would be the best option. I know what we think is the best option, but we want your input to see where you guys want us to go.
I feel very strongly that the court security should be armed, not with a taser, but the weapon, the sidearm.
I agree.
To me, a taser is like having a pea shooter or a slingshot, you know.
No, I agree with that, I mean, we had the one that you did last time where they were not armed, right?
What?
The
Yes,
last
that's what we
description.
brought up. Yep.
The last time was they were not gonna be
Just
armed.
with the taser and OC.
Yeah,
So I think it's just basically then, and what's gonna happen, I mean, how are we gonna work that with option two, is to, if the sheriff's department will allow a candidate to be trained by their person that can do that?
And the only reason we brought that job description, the updated one, is because we weren't getting applications for, you know, these
Right,
certified ones.
right.
Yeah.
Well, an option, well, let's go down to option 3 again,
option 3 is a cop,
That's
full-time deputy.
yeah.
Full-time deputy.
But, it sounds like with training and everything else, we might have 30,000 in option 2.
Well, I don't think that the cost with option one and option two would differ. That would be the same. The only difference is from what I'm hearing is that the sheriff is not willing to deputize somebody who doesn't go through the law enforcement academy. In option two, we wouldn't be requiring them to go through the law enforcement academy, but we would be requiring them to be certified in firearm handling and in court security, trained in court security. That's the only difference. So with option one, it would be the sheriff deputizing. With option two, it would be me giving approval for someone to have a firearm in the court, but they'd have to be certified. The same certification essentially as they get as a law enforcement academy person, they're just not going through the whole academy.
Well, they're not deputized in option one either, right?
Correct?
Well, they would be deputized in option one with, oh, no, because, no,
they
because
weren't
they,
gonna be.
So I don't
that's
know.
right. That's just a pepper spray.
So I don't know why the not being deputized in option two is a problem if they're not deputized in option one.
Are you aware of the statute that gives the judge that authority, or is it not a statute?
I don't have a statute that gives the judge authority. The judge just has the authority to allow permission for anybody to carry a handgun in the courtroom. Now, I'm not going to allow just anyone to do that. They'd have to be certified in firearms for me to do that.
Okay, because Ron did.
And, you know, so one of the options when I had talked to Cliff Parr, retired state trooper, was, when he's a bailiff, somebody said, well, why can't he carry a gun? I would have no problem giving Cliff approval to carry a gun because he's been trained, but his job as a bailiff is not court security. And so if he wanted to carry a gun and came to me and said, Judge, could I? Because I think he let his expire. I would not have a problem with him doing it, but I'd have to be very clear that his job is not court security. The court security is the one that I'm worried about carrying the firearm.
I think Cliff actually has his HR 218 card, which allows him to carry a firearm. I think he recertifies that every year with Sawyer County.
I don't know what his certification is. Whatever it is a 50-some hour training, I think. I don't know, I gave Ashley the text message that he sent me back on
Yeah,
that.
it's from Sawyer County, like the same as like what Olmsted would do here.
Oh, yeah, 40-hour course for a handgun.
Yeah.
He would just need to, Cliff doesn't have to do it every year. It's like our retired guys, when they retire, they have to come to our May firearms qualification. They have to qualify, pass that shoot, which is 3 or 4 hours, and then they can get their updated HR 218 card from IT. I just have to prove to them that they passed the firearms course in May.
So what would be the difference then if somebody just had the firearms training, not the academy, and then always did the recertification the way that Cliff does it?
Yeah, they wouldn't be eligible for that HR 218 because they were never LESB certified.
Okay, but they could still do the training with Mark and the county every May.
Yes.
They might not get that HR card or whatever,
Yes.
but they would essentially have the same training as a law enforcement officer.
Yeah, if you would want that employee, if it's a court attendant, if you would want that employee to attend our annual DOJ qualification course, we would do that.
Yeah, and I think that should be done. That's what's gonna shield the county from liability, is making sure that they are properly trained. That's the only way to ensure against the liability.
What are some of the other counties doing? Are they running into a similar issue?
So
No, they all are certified.
they're
or
all
they do-
LESP certified cops.
I asked my HR group to, or they use bailiffs.
Well, I thought even this Ron had said there were some counties that weren't. I thought, Ashley, you told me that as well.
Everybody who responded to my HR email said they all use, so it wasn't obviously all 72 counties, but everybody that I got responses from said they either are law enforcement certified and their court security is deputized, in the union, sworn in, all of that, or they use bailiffs for their court security as well. But yes, Ron did say that there was a couple counties, but he was supposed to get back to you, wasn't he?
He was, he never
He
did.
never did. If there was a couple of those counties that used court
Is
attendants.
a bailiff armed?
Usually not.
No.
The bailiff's, a
Primarily
bailiff's
responsible
job,
for Jury.
Yes, yeah.
a bailiff's job is the jury, it's not court security.
But I think some counties are
Correct.
using bailiffs as court security in addition to having the separate bailiffs that are in charge of the jury.
Knows how to say all rise.
Oh, yeah. Judge Judy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bull on that court.
I gotta tell you,
Lori.
just for me, I agree with Tom that having a taser and some pepper spray is not gonna do any good if somebody has bad intentions, and I think they should be armed, but I feel really way out of my depth on deciding this. I mean, I understand what you guys are saying, and if two would do it rather than have a full-time cop, I think that's the way we should go, but what you recommend is,
Do you guys think option 3 is not an option?
we're gonna add somebody,
Another
we're gonna add a body, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
full-time patrol officer.
The only way I'd even consider option 3, which has been mulling around in my head, is if I knew that there was some type of guarantee that it was gonna alleviate the burden that the sheriff's department has with overtime to help offset that extra cost.
Well, it could when he's available and not in court.
I know, but my gut's telling me you guys would have the right intentions to do it that way, but it may not fall into that schedule when
The
you
need for overtime might not fall on the day that he's
And
available.
that's
Yeah,
correct. I
that's
mean,
a tough one, and you guys can't give me that answer. I know you can't.
I can't promise you that.
So,
Well, plus he's just 25 hours a week,
so if you,
half the time he's not gonna be available.
Right.
Well, if you went with option 3, it'd be full-time.
Right.
Right, but they're talking 25 hours a week in court,
Right.
and so the rest of the time he would
yeah.
have, but
Plus for 3, you gotta factor in a squad car too.
so could you plug that person in, even though it would be a different, I mean, stay at the same wage, but have them work at dispatch if they're not doing court security?
No, they would be, they would for sure not stick around if we stuck them in dispatch to the jail. And then B, it'd be a lot more training to get them dispatch certified and jail certified.
yeah, you'd be looking at almost 30 weeks of training. Staff a year.
And even option 3, could you even find, I mean, we have a hard enough time now filling the positions you have.
Patrol were full staff, and we probably could easily find a certified officer than a non-certified officer. That's what I'm saying.
It still would be though, so if we posted that, let's say we posted it as a full-time patrol deputy with their main job duty being court security, we still might struggle finding that person.
Now what you do with option 2?
would be our employee.
So that's the big difference. Option two, the court security officer would go under
It'd be
the
a clerk
clerk
courts
of
employee.
courts. So it would no longer be a sheriff employee, because what sheriff is saying, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you do not care to have them under you if they are carrying a gun and not law enforcement certified. Is that correct, or am I wrong in saying that?
Yes.
So that's essentially what they're saying.
I think if the judge is comfortable with option two, knowing that the individual takes the certification for the gun training and then also the court security training, and she's comfortable with the fact that that would basically cover any liability should that issue come up, I don't see why we couldn't consider two.
We would also have to make sure, because, so firearms instructors, they never teach firearms outside of the academy. We have to also make sure that Deputy Olmsted would be comfortable doing that. I don't know why he wouldn't. We have to talk with him about it, but it also would probably be up to a month-long process, because Deputy Olmsted also works full-time for us and could not do that while he was working. He'd have to be on his off days, and we'd have to pay him overtime.
For the court security officer, or the firearms.
Do the firearms training.
Yeah.
Does that person have to do the firearms training? You know,
Yeah,
what are their options?
Somebody that actually could do it full time.
That's the whole issues. In order to do that, you have to go through the academy to get.
There's nobody else that does that?
No, it's not offered outside of the academy.
So it's not you go, we've got AC, buy a firearm, and then you go on Saturday and get certified.
No, I mean, like I said, we could cut the rifle portion out of it, because court security will not have a rifle in
Right.
court, but it'd still be, I think it's 40 hours. It's just that course is only offered in the academy, because the tech schools don't offer it, because who takes that course if they're not in the academy? Like a civilian isn't gonna take that course.
Is there anything here that, in any of these conversations we've had so far, that need to be discussed with our insurance company?
Yes,
Yeah, that's what Judge
yeah,
said.
100%.
Yeah.
Great.
So Judge, are you recommending, option two?
I think ideally having the sheriff deputize someone is best, but I'm fine with option two. I do not have a problem, with somebody in the courtroom that is there with a firearm under my permission, as long as there is a certified trainer who says they passed the course and they get the training. I am comfortable with that. I don't, like I said, I don't think we necessarily need somebody who's gone through the academy. They're not trained in court security. So I'm comfortable with two. I would like it to stay under the sheriff's budget and not have it under the court's budget, but if Jeff isn't willing to do that, because you know what happens is when that person is on vacation or holiday or whatever, Jeff has to provide, or the sheriff has to provide somebody for court security. That's gonna have to then be an MOU between the court and the sheriff's department, because we can't go without court security, and we don't wanna hire two people. So, you know, then that's gonna have to be an MOU, but I'm comfortable. If they're trained, I'm comfortable giving the permission for it.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. So, okay, so if this person is ill, let's just say health issues, whatever that may be, vacation, off. Yeah, you're gonna ask, so the sheriff department normally would fill this?
Yeah, what usually
Or
happens.
by statute, the sheriff's department has to do it.
What usually happens is Lori will send me an email every week highlighting court hearings or court cases that they know will probably need court security. So as long as we have somebody available, which we almost always do, we send them up there for that one hearing or something like that.
You do if there's.
Well, but that's who you have to take into consideration is a liability issue, because right now we've been going without court security. Even when we tell them that we have cases that we think we need it for, we're not getting it, and I've been sending emails. I just had a guy who threatened to kill his sister and her sons in court over a probate matter the other day. I mean, weekly, we've been having issues with security, and so we have to make sure then that the backup is gonna be there. We can't predict which cases we need security for. It's the ones we don't expect as that things come up.
So what do we gotta do to proceed with option 2? What's next steps?
You have to approve the job description, the second one.
But it sounds like we need to talk to the insurance company too.
Yes, because my concern with this is that, okay, so I wanna bring a gun to work because I wanna protect me and Ashley and Carrie and Shar. So I take Mark's training and I shoot somebody. Do you know what I mean? If that's the only training we're putting people through, what if the foresters wanna start carrying in the forest? You know, and maybe the insurance company will say it's totally fine, I don't know, but that would be my concern.
Well, but anyone in
What's the insurance
the
company gonna
courthouse
say?
that's getting permission.
What's the insurance company gonna say if we put you in that situation with a taser and you get shot instead of you shooting somebody else?
Taser's not gonna kill him though.
Oh, it's just,
No, but if she gets shot
that's it.
while she's holding the taser, what's our liability for that?
Well, there's gonna be.
Yeah, because you're under
If
security.
we put somebody with a taser in and called it court security, that.
But you're
I
gonna,
think our
you're gonna be
liability is-
liable whether she's got a taser or not, because she's your employee.
There's
Oh,
several.
yeah, it's gonna be workers' comp, one way or the other, but now you brought a knife to a gunfight.
There are several counties that have their deputies at the front doors of the courthouse that run the detectors. They are unarmed. They just have tasers and OC and
Well, that makes no sense at all.
I mean, that's your next option is
Right.
secure in the whole courthouse. And then you don't have to worry about getting guns
Everyone
in the
goes through a
courthouse.
metal detector.
And then that means everybody goes through a metal detector that comes through that door. But then that has to be
But even
manned.
the counties that have metal detectors still have personnel in the courtroom for court security.
Yeah, just because someone doesn't bring a gun to the courtroom doesn't mean they can't start a fight in there.
But
Right.
at that point, wouldn't a taser be equal force?
Yeah. But if you do the metal detector, you have to have at least 4 employees. Because you have to have 2 people running it at a time. So you have 2 people working, 2 people off. One has to run the metal detector, the other one has to search the bags. I don't think we want to hire 4 employees.
So do you have to see insurance first, or we just approve it and
Just take
then
that.
You can do it contingent upon a check with the insurance company.
Yeah, okay.
We meet again on the 17th.
Need what?
We meet again on the 17th.
Yeah.
So we can put that on the agenda.
Yeah, we should do that. I just feel so far out of my depth here.
Well, I want to caution too, when speaking with the insurance company, the right questions have to be asked. So like Ashley just brought up a scenario about her wanting to carry a gun and about the forestry wanting to carry a gun. That's not what we're talking about here.
No,
The
I
courthouse
understand. I don't want
does not
somebody
allow
to-
firearms in the building.
We know that.
So that, we're only talking about the court security person having the gun, not everyone in the courthouse.
Understood, and their job description would be shared with the insurance company.
Yes.
It sounds like, I don't wanna hire another deputy, but it almost sounds like that might be the best way to go here.
It really would be.
If, you asked the question about would it alleviate how much overtime would it alleviate? Not much, but it would alleviate some. But what number can we put on that? We can't put a number on that.
I know you can.
But you're
It's
also
gonna be one of
talking-
those deals you're not gonna know, and it's gonna vary from year to year.
Yes.
It's gonna vary all the time, it's gonna be extremely fluid.
And you're also talking $10,000 a year. for the squad car.
Well, they have to, just for me anyway, they have to be armed. I mean, just, might as well give them a bucket of hot water to throw at them.
If we went with option 2 as well, we would obviously do a background check on that person in the clerk's office like we do with normal law enforcement, but I agree, it would be, option 3 would be the best option, but it might be hard for us to find that because there's not a lot of certified law enforcement officers, they're not plentiful that want to do court security and payment services. We could try.
Yeah, they don't go through the academy expecting to do court security.
Right.
Would it be enticing to anyone that say was more senior in their employment here?
Not here, nobody would want it, but maybe someone from a different county or city that's heard about it or saw about it, maybe. We just want a court security person, so we don't have to keep pulling guys from the road to put up there. But if, correct me if I'm wrong, if this committee selected option 3, which is what they want, it's still up to a full board vote or no? Because you're adding.
Yeah,
You'd
Yeah,
have to.
an employee.
Yeah.
I don't know, option 2 might.
Option 2 might be tough too.
Option 2 might,
We're gonna do
this
something.
person could have the argument whether or not it requires full board being the way we're going about it.
Now you're creating a position in another office, probably would have to be approved.
And then
And
the
with that,
training and everything
no
that's
names?
gonna go with it.
Right. I don't think we're gonna find anybody.
You guys always bring easy stuff to us.
No benefits.
No benefits.
I think the no benefits is good.
These are broachy options.
I'm thinking option 2 is gonna be as hard for you guys to fill as what you just tried to fill with option 1. Or not this, but the old position.
It really could be in theory because of the no benefits and being part-time.
Well, yeah, and in general, right now, like we said, we had the job posted for 2 months and nobody applied who was certified, but on top of that, the other applicants that we had, there was maybe 2
That we haven't weeded out already.
that we would even maybe consider. And that's for 2 months of posting, so I think either option, you're probably gonna struggle a little bit in the recruitment side of it. If we don't even get state retirement or.
If we don't try it, how do we know?
Well, you gotta try, we gotta pick one or the other, but I don't. Shit.
You pick the wrong one and you go through the process and it doesn't work out. Then another 2 months behind.
Option 2 would be tough to hire without bennies too.
Well, it's essentially the same as option 1, right, as far as recruiting.
Yeah.
One vendor.
We're just giving them some more training. I mean, unless that training's gonna benefit them and they have job aspirations and goals beyond security officer, but there again, if we have a younger individual that eventually maybe wants to become an officer down the road, then we have them for a year and train them and move on. I mean, it's a possibility.
Well, we gotta have court security, I
Well-
mean, that's just God, this is.
I don't think they're gonna, to be fair and honest, they're not gonna move on anywhere else because no other county is allowing this. So just because they have that $40 gun course, they're not gonna be able to take that and go anywhere else. They're gonna have to go through the academy to go anywhere else.
Well,
So they're not gonna be able to,
choose.
you know what I mean?
Move on.
Yeah, but it's not like us providing them the training and then they're
Right,
gonna
right.
leave.
Right. No, yeah, no, I gotcha.
Long term. The option 3 is a smart one.
Three would benefit.
You know, Phil, at one time, there was, I thought there was some kind of an agreement with the full-time deputies that the ones who took the court security shifts, there was something appealing, like did they do some DNR work or something like that, and that's how they agreed to be court security?
Yes, so.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep, what it used to be when I did it, I did court security, park and forest, DNR patrol, and edge or dare, but we weren't able to get our DNR hours in and our park and forest hours in, and we had to because forestry department was paying for half of that position, and we were also getting reimbursed our hours through the DNR. But with court security being 20 to 30 hours a week, we weren't able to get those hours in per month. So our office was losing a ton of money.
Okay.
But that's how, you're right, that's how it used to be.
So is there any other type of,
Are there companies that provide the security, like mall security or?
you been in the mall lately?
I haven't actually.
Well, I stole 5 things the last time I was there, I still haven't figured it out. No, I didn't steal anything, but I've been there, and I'm like, I wish you could get away with
They
it.
were all gifts he gave to you.
For Christmas, now we're really in trouble, Dave.
Yeah, don't return those.
The county can hire a private security company, but you're gonna pay a lot of money for them.
And is there anything even close available? I mean, there's gonna be travel time probably and everything else for someone.
Yeah, so the closest armed security that we use for like transports and stuff like that is Green Bay and La Crosse.
Is what?
Green Bay and La Crosse.
And they're gonna have this same training, the 36 or the 40 hours.
We should just try and get an officer, I guess. I don't know, what do you guys think?
One of Riley's boys would want it.
The what?
One of Riley's boys. His sons are both going to have.
Who?
Riley Conley. Used to be our investigator.
Oh, okay.
They won't start the academy till June though.
The what?
They won't start the academy till June or in October. But they are not taking court security. Not those two.
I'm leaning towards the full-time deputy, just to be done with it.
So we're just talking $100,000 a year.
I know.
They're gonna fly.
Not really, because you're gonna take what you already doing for us.
So if you took option 3, then the downside of that, other than the cost, would be that if they're already a certified officer, first vacancy you have on patrol, they're gonna be moving into that, right?
We probably would take that, yeah.
So then you'd be back to hiring another.
Depending on who we got for an applicant.
I mean, that might be a way to entice somebody to come if they knew that they would be the next
Next
You know.
available one.
next to fill a patrol position.
I wouldn't wanna hire somebody under those pretenses though. And I think that the job's description should be very explicit about that they're in that for.
That's their
security
primary purpose.
primary. And if something else comes up, you can't just, get out of it.
But realistically, it's still gonna happen. If they're working here and they're certified officer,
Not to say
they would have the option to apply for
Yeah.
the next patrol.
How does it work now? I don't remember. Is patrol and stuff, anything based off of seniority?
Yeah, we have shift picks once a year, so based on your seniority, you get to pick the shift that you want. Lower seniority you are, you get to pick the shifts that weren't picked.
So could this be incorporated into that if we end up making?
It'd
It
be
would be,
in position.
So there's no way to make that a separate job.
So if somebody found an enticing position and wanted a variety, didn't want to be in a patrol car all the time,
You're saying you could make that a shift pick, so like today's shift picks, I can decide I want to be court security, and then next time when shift picks come around, I want to be on patrol. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
It's winter time. It's court security.
Somebody-
Weather's nice.
That's the problem.
I wanna
They
be
do it for a whole
outside.
year.
Or the man on the.
We only do shift picks once a year.
I mean, even if it, so let's just say you had 30,000 or whatever it is as court security. You got 70,000 left with the patrol car if you took it full time. If there was any way, shape or form where it could shave 20,000 off overtime, which is a very soft number.
And really high.
You think it's too high?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe 10
I would say 10 is even high. Yeah, I'd say 10.
from an overtime standpoint.
I'd
to
say
fill
10
in.
would probably be tops, yeah. You talking about as far as how much that person could cover for overtime?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say 5 to 10.
You have to look at, is it worth it?
Yeah, you gotta look at it more or less, there's no benefit then from that standpoint.
Well, and our overtime's pretty much a wash, if you look at the budget.
If you look, yeah, it's between,
Our overtime is over budget, but our wages are under budget.
correct. Wages are 440 maybe under, and overtime was close to
450.
400 over. It was a wash.
So patrol right now, we got full staff in patrol the end of October, very beginning of November. I think I posted 3 overtime shifts in December and 1.5 for January.
Yeah, that's gonna come back in, and then, I mean, that's always gonna be fluid. There's just no way to, you can't peg that. But safety wise, better with an officer. Oh, you guys aren't talking.
Well,
He's talking.
obviously, that would be the ideal, that would be cancer, obviously, but just fuck it, the overtime would be negligible, really.
You're not gonna save any money.
No,
You're adding a body. You're not gonna save any money.
You're adding a body, so like let's say if that court security I was working today, and there was court from 8 until noon, but then no court in the afternoon, and we had a guy that wanted to take vacation from 3 to 6, I would just move that court security guy into that spot.
Right.
Yeah.
You're just gonna plug a hole.
Yeah, so it'd be several hours here and there, but you're not talking
You're not.
10 to 20,000.
Yeah, that's the other thing, so what are you gonna do when there's nothing on those days with that individual?
Court security,
So, yeah, so there's nothing the whole week.
they'd be serving papers with their second duty, doing eviction checks, and if there's still none of them, which there always are, they would be on patrol. But we serve papers every week, all
So
the
there
time,
might be times where you'd have an extra patrol out there.
doing paper services.
If there wasn't paper services, then
We might have an extra car,
And patrol.
there's more speed tickets.
one would think.
Catch a lot of people on East Sixth Street South between Lindu and
That's the city.
Ward.
Are we writing enough parking tickets and stuff like that?
We don't write parking
You
tickets.
don't write that.
The city can, but they might write 4 or 5 a year.
Trying to help the revenue stream.
So we wanna do 3, try 3 and see what happens.
I think once you go down 3, you ain't going back from it.
You're probably right.
You're married to that puppy. Once you go that road.
What if you tried starting out as an LTE?
I think we'd really struggle trying to find someone that was a certified law enforcement officer that only had a part-time gig.
Next one's.
No, it could be full-time but limited term. And see how it goes.
Oof. You're not gonna get.
The only thing I am concerned about is even when we have a full-time patrol officer spot, we're still only getting 3 to 5 applicants. And if we make it LTE where their job isn't guaranteed and no pennies, that's we're gonna be even hurting even more.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm just throwing things out there.
Ideally, we would
They
like
say, well, you can't turn back, then you could.
right, we would like a full-time certified LSB sworn deputy. I just didn't think you guys would go for it.
I knew you wanted that. Thank you for admitting it. I was just waiting to get there.
Okay. I'm asking that you make a motion for option 3, please.
Well, and we have to fill out that request form, right, that you guys just passed?
Yep.
That isn't here?
Yep.
So, yeah.
But we gotta get to the next.
That was a really great try to shove this through, but.
Yeah.
Well, it's gotta go to, finance yet anyhow.
Well,
That has to come back
they
here
have to
with that
approve the
request
request
form.
form first.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
On the 17th.
Oversight committee, new positions.
Yeah. Well, we gotta start somewhere, we might as well start there.
So,
Are you making?
With option 3,
Yeah, I'll move forward with option 3.
so if we move forward with option 3, can we fill out that request form within the next week and email it to the personnel chair, so we have to wait for a whole month to come back?
Well, you're gonna meet on the 17th, so.
well, I think we can, if we're going to establish a recommendation for the position, I think we can also authorize somebody to fill that form out. It still has to go, to add in the position, it's still gonna have to go to the full board.
Right.
Finance and then full board, is that how you want it?
So
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of time between now and then if we have to have another.
Between now and the
Hang
17th.
on to another
On
meeting.
the oversight, so when is
Yeah,
it?
we don't have to have another meeting.
So the board meeting is the 17th?
No, there's a,
Oh, yes, okay, yeah.
That for WPPA.
Our oversight's the Wednesday before, like the 50th. No, more than the 8th.
If you're making that as a
Our
motion,
oversight's on the 8th.
then I will second it.
I am making that as a motion.
What if we,
approve.
an option 2 and an option 3?
I mean, put on my
Use whichever one.
Advertise?
Yes.
for a position, well, we can't, I don't think we can advertise for a position unless we put it in stone.
You're creating a position either way. You're either creating a new position or adding an additional person, an additional slot to an existing position.
I guess my hope is, if we go option 3, is that some other good comes out of it for the deputies, that they're able to take more of their time off and helps you on the overtime side of things, etc. I mean, that needs to be really focused on, I think, because, and I'm not picking, but I mean, you guys have come in, that's been concerns in your department. And I guess I have a concern when officers aren't able to take time off or choose not to take, whatever that may be, none of my business really, but I think in their position, it's good for them. Dave made a point of it another time that
That's why.
it's good for them to take time off, that's why we provide it. And hopefully that would help you on a scheduling basis, maybe.
Really utilize that person here and there in certain spots.
Yeah, that would
Probably work better for comp time than it would be probably vacation, because nobody wants to just take a day.
Some guys like the 6 a.m. cars, as long as there's a sergeant working, they'll take vacation from 3 to 6, but not very often.
So we have a motion and a second.
Okay.
All in favor?
And we're moving this to finance, that's,
Emergency services, finance, and county board, that's what I have in there. You good with that?
What?
Emergency services, that's the oversight,
Yeah,
and finance,
they have to get their,
and county board.
probably the hands in there too, right?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That was not fun, but it was important.
Yeah, agreed. We need that person.
Are you familiar with the Eisenhower matrix? With 4 quadrants? Just covered one.
Are you guys gonna create a
There's
job
like,
description?
yeah, there's no job description.
Yeah, we'll create one.
You're gonna have to work with Judge on that.
Create one.
Okay.
Judge, did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
We'll need a job description created, so, we'll have you work with the sheriff's office for that then.
Sure.
And I can be involved too, but if you want, but.
Does that need to come back here on the 17th?
Yeah, as per our policies, yes,
Okay.
yes.
There you
That's
go.
okay.
Yeah.
You can run
Do
to
that on the 17th.
I won't be here on that.
Alright.
That's even
Or
better.
vacation.
You're on ice, is that what you said?
I gotta go return my items.
Judge, anything else as I'll.
You're going to.
Nope, I don't have anything else. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, cruises are wonderful. Okay, well, I'm sorry, we were sidebar.
I'm here.
Where are we now?
We're the next one.
Thank you, Judge.
The finance meeting's on the 16th,
The 16th.
right? Yeah, so that'll,
So it's
We'll
gonna
make our
work
way
well.
through.
yeah,
And emergency services will be right.
But we had to do it.
You had to do it, it's an important thing. And to figure out how the positions.
Right.
Yeah, but somebody, there's a lot of
it's always good to have something.
Okay. Hey, Sheriff?
Okay. Thanks for your time. I don't know that any of you, or all of you are aware that our jail administrator is leaving. Tomorrow's his last day. Excuse me. I have chosen to not pick a replacement at this time because of our staffing issues. There's no way I could pull someone from our staff and fill that position without a mass exodus of the people that were left, because the overtime would increase greatly there. So what we have done, we have worked with George, and he has shared his duties with 4 people, my administration people, and to cover that until someone is put in that position. And I'm here to see if I can get a stipend for them 4 people, because it puts a lot of extra work on them. It'll be at no cost to our budget. George's monthly income is about $5,500, and I'm asking for about $2,000 in stipends for the month. I'd like for Phil, who's gonna get about 60 to 70% of them duties on top of his, to get about $1,100 stipend. And the 3 girls, Miranda, Krista, and Ann, all have taken some of his duties to the best of their knowledge. They've been working with him, and I'd like them to each get $300 a month stipend, just until, and have that effective January 1, if we can.
When do you plan to fill that job?
I don't know if you've all read your emails, but I'm gone in April.
I did.
Okay, so I'm sure it's not gonna be before April. Yeah, April 1 is my.
I didn't read that.
Yes.
Oh.
I thought it was an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, I've been asked that, but no, it is not.
You interested in the court security after your?
I'm not.
That was good.
Well, you never know, you might get bored at home.
Lori's already asked me 4 times, so.
That was good. Well, you know, you're just gonna have to try.
Yeah, I know.
To answer your question, Tom, when are we gonna fill that? We're gonna fill that as soon as possible. And hopefully we can hire some more jail staff, but just to let you know, the last round of interviews for jail dispatch We extended conditional offers to 2 females. I completed a background on one, she passed, I called her on Monday, I went home from work, told her that she passed her background, and that we would be calling her on Thursday, today, to get her physical and drug screen scheduled. She called me today on my cell phone and said that she took a job at Barron County instead. The other gal that we gave a conditional offer to after our interviews has had her background packet for over 3 weeks and I have not received it back. So until we can hire at least 2 or 3 more people in the jail and get them trained, we can't fill that jail captain position. So it's gonna be months, probably.
Gonna be what?
Months, 4 to 7 months, probably.
Okay.
I'm not real excited about it, but it is what it is.
Well, at least they went straight to Barron County without stopping at us. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't hire him first.
Yeah, right.
Didn't hire them and train them and then they go.
I only spent $20 on it.
Maybe you could charge Barron for the background check.
We should. I'll send him a bill.
Anybody got any questions for Sheriff?
So what, I guess, can you give a rough idea of some of the responsibilities that will be passed on to these 4?
Yeah.
I know.
Go Ken, the other one's been working with him.
So, I will be responsible for all the vacation, sick, comp requests in the schedule, which right now, because they're so short-staffed, the schedule will be hours a month, trying to figure that out. I'll be responsible for all the transports, inmate transports, either from prisons to here, or from our jail to prisons, or from different counties to our jail. I'll be responsible for all the court hearings for inmates, whether they're in Barron County, Chippewa County, Dodge Correctional, our jail, and I'll be in charge of all the day-to-day operations. That's what I'm meeting.
And the other 3 are kind of clerical
Yes.
things that are split up
Yep.
evenly.
Anybody else? We got a motion to approve. Somebody wanna make a motion? What are we thinking?
I can make that
We're
motion.
gonna get to the budget.
I say I can make that motion.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Any other discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Sheriff. Approve IT team lead.
No.
Promotion. Oh, yeah, man.
Hello. So, we were looking at moving, Walter Compy up to that IT&T lead position. And speaking with him and Neil, they kind of agreed amongst themselves as well, so there was no hostility for that, promotion, which was nice to see. Walt's got a great attitude, and he's had 4 years of experience in a leadership role with the former IT department. So what I would like to ask for is to move him up, but then also as far as his wage goes, currently he sits at $25.62 an hour. An IT team lead is a grade 12. At step 1 it's $21.94. So it'd be a
25 then.
Sorry, thank you. $25.94. To get him at 5%, that would be $27.05. What I would really like to see, just with his background and the additional roles, is to possibly keep him at that grade 12, move to a step 10 or 11, which would put him at, step 10 would put him at $28.90, step 11, $29.27.
Where's he now?
Currently, he is $25.62.
And what was the 5% you said?
5% was $27.05. So, it'd be,
How long has he been with us?
refer to that.
April 2023.
Okay, so, a year, yeah.
What was the,
No.
A year and a half.
Almost two.
Yeah.
Well, April of,
23.
Almost two.
okay.
A year and 3/4.
Few months short of two.
What was that $28 number you said you did?
Step 10 was 28.90.
So that's,
And that's what you're recommending?
I'd like to see it with the additional roles and responsibilities that he's gonna have. I think it's a fair wage.
And this person taking this position is your recommendation, or no one else in the department was interested, or?
Both, he's my recommendation and the other party was not interested. Had the other party been interested, I still would've gone for him.
Okay. And the 2705 was step 1 in this role? Is that what I heard?
2594 is step 1 for the IT team lead.
Where did I get 2705? Was that?
27 would be step 4.
Yep, that would be the 5%.
Oh, okay.
And why wouldn't you do that?
I feel with the past experience plus the extra work he's done, without having an IT director currently, he's shown me that he's worth the wage. And I'd like to try and retain him.
Are we looking at
It's,
putting another position into that department eventually here when this happens, or what, you know? Has that been discussed up to this point?
Go ahead.
It's been talked about. Currently, I can't advise on if we need to add a third, or not, just cause I haven't had enough experience with letting the.
Get your feel with it.
develop. Yeah.
So Brett and I talked about how that request to fill vacancy form would need to be filled out for that other position, but we felt it was too rushed to bring it to personnel this month. Not enough data, not enough support behind that right now.
Are there 3 in the budget now?
Correct.
We have 2.
Correct.
so the remaining person, the other person there, is that individual aware of what you're suggesting for wage?
That individual is off our wage scale. So he actually, no matter what wage you approve right now, Walt would be making less than the other individual who would be under him.
So he's red circled.
Oh,
Which is why, another reason I'd like to move Walt up.
Okay, I see.
That was done.
So he's making
before-
less than
That was done before the wage study came into play.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And
That
our
being said
former,
then,
our former IT director was red circled as well, so the number that is in the budget for 2025 is
Okay.
significant.
Well, there's
being
no,
said, then I don't have a problem.
yeah, there's no hit at all. In fact, it's,
I'll make a motion to move into step 10.
it was,
Now we have a courtroom security officer, 3 jailer dispatchers. Phil filled you guys in on where we're at with that. And then an INA specialist, which we have an offer out for that one. And then we have a number of positions that we currently don't have posted, so they're technically still budgeted for and not filled, but they're currently not posted. We're not actively recruiting for them. And that would be our operations manager, our highway commissioner, 2 CCS service facilitators, a highway worker 1, and then it was the IT team lead, but with that promotion it would be the IT specialist that we would have open, but we're not actively recruiting for it.
and we're not doing the highway department.
The highway worker 1,
No, I thought it said the highway.
the commissioner and ops manager, correct, we currently do not have those posted due to the contracted service that we have in place with Kern.
Oh.
Any questions on that? So, the next thing on the list is the approval of the update to the use of PTO policy in the employee handbook. So I had that in the packet, that was from the discussion from the December personnel meeting. So what I added in there is that employees may attend a meeting without using PTO if all 3 of the following are met. They are directed by their department head to attend, they have received written chair approval, and the agenda item directly affects them. That was the three things that we had discussed
Yeah,
for that.
right.
I had a question about that, and maybe you can cover it anyway. It seems to me that, maybe you can cover it anyway. It seems to me that there may be occasions when the department head would want that person to be there because the department head couldn't be there for some reason. And so they wouldn't meet the condition of it being directly affecting them. If they were there at the direction of the department head in their absence.
So you mean it affects the department but not the employee directly?
Well, yeah.
That's what happened with the sheriff.
Yeah.
It didn't affect them, but he instructed them to be there.
Right.
Yeah.
I could just change that to, and the agenda item directly affects that department.
That would be better.
It
Cause that would cover that then, right? So you're saying it might not directly affect like me personally,
seems to
but.
me that there's two situations. There's a situation where, let's say, an employee wants to go, and the department head says, yeah, that's okay. They're giving them permission. As opposed to a time when the department head wants them to be there because they can't be there. Or they have something to add to the discussion. But if it meets the test by saying it's relevant to the department, then that probably would still work, because then they wouldn't be there if the department head didn't say yes.
Yeah, cause the department head really shouldn't be there anyway if it doesn't
So
affect
they added
the department.
business rather than affecting them personally.
And the agenda item directly affects the employee and or department.
Yeah, that's good.
Who is over the department heads?
Well, not you personally, Tom, but.
As the board,
Thank goodness.
the committees and the.
Committees. Okay, so
100% committee.
I'm just curious about why it seems to me that where it says the PTO request, if they're like 5 consecutive days or more, need to be approved by the administrative coordinator. And that seems to me that would fall more under duty responsibilities as human resources.
Yeah, I don't think that one's really followed, actually, is it?
No, no one does it anyways, but the thought behind that, Supervisor Kudo, is that it's my job to make sure that operations continue in the lack of a department head. So for instance, we had a department head take off a bit of time over the Christmas break, and I ensured that we had a contact person in place, that the office would not shut down, and that every department knew who they were supposed to call while this department head was out for an extended period of time.
I would be the one as HR to fill in for that, that would be the administrative coordinator. if
Yeah,
we
you
were
got two
short.
different, you notice
if we
there's
were
two
short
different things going
department.
on here, right, in that first paragraph. So employees need to get their approval from the department head.
Right.
Department heads need to get their approval from administrative coordinator
Just for more than those 5 days.
for anything more than 5 days.
I don't even think it's more approval, it's more of like an FYI too. to-
Yeah, just so that the wheels don't come off,
Yeah.
so to speak.
I don't know if you, I read it wrong the first time, I put it all into one and then they had. But,
So you wanna read that again, the last part, please?
Yeah, so it'll be employees may attend a meeting without using PTO if all 3 of the following are met. They are directed by their department head to attend, they have received written chair approval, and the agenda item directly affects the employee and or department head.
And or the what?
And or department, sorry, not department.
Yeah, okay.
Employee and or department.
Give me that, Dave.
take your motion.
Make the motion. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Way to pull that out.
Yeah, I know.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then the last thing, I just had approval for out of county travel. So that's the annual WPLRA conference, which is the Wisconsin Public Employer Labor Relations Association down in Madison, January. The conference is the 30th and 31st, and I think I attached the agenda.
I would make a motion to approve, but I don't think we should, any of our employees should belong to an organization with 6 letters. WPELRA. You can't even make a Pell run.
And there's NPELRA.
Yeah.
Very few people that know what that means if you talk about it in a group.
This?
Yeah, Rotorua.
So I spelled out
I wouldn't know.
in parentheses.
Sounds like an expression for indigestion to me.
I'll make the motion to approve out of county.
Dave did it.
I did.
Second.
Oh, Dave made the, oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I'll second.
Tom.
Tom.
Just approve.
Tom. Tom.
I'm gonna change all this.
You guys can sign that
All
one.
in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's gonna be a lot of travel. It says it's going to be out of this world.
That's what they say.
Yes. The program says.
Oh, wow. There you go.
30 cents a mile.
Is it me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, this is me. So when the Wisconsin Counties Association was here and giving their spiel on the administrative coordinator and the interactions with the board and that kind of stuff, and somebody had made a motion, I think it was Coggins, that land with the personnel committee. And that's where it ended at that meeting, and then after that I was having some conversations with people and talking to the voices in my head, which are loud sometimes. It's just crazy.
You have that problem too?
I have that problem.
What is a coherent conversation?
Well, it's hard. It's 50-50.
I didn't say just so you don't start answering.
Yeah, I don't normally answer myself. Once in a while I do that. And what occurred to me is that while we're all smart people, that it shouldn't be just one committee. It should be, because it's really an overarching how the county is going to function type of thing. It shouldn't be just us. It should be a committee that the chair can designate, that people should get together and talk about what they think, because we need a lot of ideas about this, not just our ideas. And it's going to take a while, and it needs to be really well thought out and given a lot of good thinking, which we would do anyway. But to me, it just shouldn't be us. It doesn't involve just us; it involves the county. So that's why this is on here. I'm asking you to approve that. And if you got any questions, the voices in my head would be happy to answer.
So you're looking here for a motion to give form this to
To the county board chair, yes.
You want a recommendation, how many people should be on it?
And like who should be on it?
That's county board chair,
That's it?
appointed.
But I mean, who would be on it? People from just the county board or?
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Did you have something?
I don't know, I was just tossing out there.
Yeah, no, I did, it needs to be the county board, I didn't. But,
I didn't know if you wanted to
I mean, it's gonna involve Ashley.
be more encompassing with other departments or just basically.
I thought that was a good place to start, was the county number, I mean,
I would agree, I think
you don't wanna.
board members, supervisors should be on the committee. That's just my thought behind it, after hearing what I heard.
County board supervisor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it should be restricted to those members.
Yeah, for now, yeah, right. Cause it really, you're trying to get at, some sort of self-governance, right? How we're gonna do things long-term, because you even brought it up earlier as, you know, who's in charge. And that's one of the issues that we have. Being a new person coming in, is one of the issues that we have, is nobody's in charge. There's not one person you can go to and say, that's where I'm gonna get my final decision.
Indians.
Yeah. And if it were me doing this, that would be my end game, is to figure that out long term. Rather than have some of the stuff we have now. So that's all I got. I would like a motion. Do we have a second?
How many people do you wanna see on it?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to draw your attention to the resolution. I just wanna make sure that everybody has had a chance to see it. And if you'd like me to change it, it's in a Word doc still.
It's gonna what?
It's in a Word doc still, so if you would like changes, I can do that.
Oh, okay.
Is this in our packet?
Done.
It was not in our packet.
I'm asking what it wasn't.
Well, I sent it to Mike to look over and then I went on vacation, so.
Yeah, holidays.
I know.
Do you have a number? 5?
5 members.
Hmm. 5 members.
Well, he's got 5 minutes.
So you want the resolution approved?
Is it 5 members? Consisting of 5 members?
The
He's got it done.
ad hoc board rules and relationships committee to be comprised of 5.
Got it, okay, all right.
And then the last line is as appointed.
Okay. Probably sent that to me.
I did. We talked about it actually, and it was right before I went on vacation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Damn holidays.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you
We have
all.
to do number 1 yet?
Yeah, Jeremy's here.
Oh, what is he?
Actually, do you have that printed off at all?
Where would you like me?
No, I didn't know if there would be changes, but I'll
It's
print it
under
over
the
here.
table.
Outside the room?
Yeah, instead of.
Put your money in, make yourself welcome.
Honey, I'll forward it
As
to you.
long as it doesn't cost us anything.
Thank you.
He always tells us that though.
How is my favorite Rusk County Personnel Committee?
Alright.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, here we go. Everybody check your wallets.
Oh, it's getting spread.
Smoke is coming out of my ears.
I can be nice just for, it costs nothing to be nice.
That is all right. And thank you for being nice, Mr. Jacobs.
Did everybody have a nice holiday? Happy New Year.
Oh, happy New Year to you as well.
2025, hard to believe, right?
You must want some biggies.
Yeah, he does.
He's buttering. He's
It's
been
more than
buttering
just
all
the
year.
normal, hey, how's it going? You know, it's a holiday, you get it, it's a holiday.
I can't believe it's not butter.
Okay, so I have 2 things for you tonight. The second thing will be a closed session. But the first thing is I asked Connie to send in your packet, the PowerPoint. There was a three grid PowerPoint for you. If you, maybe, do you have that?
I don't remember that.
Maybe put that up.
I don't know if you did this.
We
Yeah.
put it in the email.
It was in the.
Yes, it was.
'Cause I like
Sure, I
to send
can
it
put my
to everybody.
Everybody, and it was in email?
It was like the 3rd attachment of that.
It was the
email for this
business
meeting.
packet.
but if we can, I can,
Ashley's
I
gonna
got
got
it.
Yeah,
it just makes it easier. I was thinking that you guys would have scoured
You
it.
have it, Ashley?
And
Yeah, I'm just.
worked it over.
Perused it lightly.
That's all I asked. I just asked that you take a look at it, cause I'm not gonna speak off of the slides, but just, there's some content that I wanna show you. Oh, Mike, hi. Nice to see you. We had a very good meeting on Monday.
Brian, it's not in that email that you sent out to
We're
everybody.
having another one Monday,
Hang on.
It was.
right?
What's that?
We're having another one Monday.
Is it a packet?
I'm gonna be in Menominee.
I got it.
Deep
Hang on.
feedback.
Hang on.
But I'll be back 12:30, so if you're coming down.
I swear to God.
Yes, Jill sent it out to the board.
What's that? Oh, maybe she just sent it to the supervisor?
It was,
She sent it to the supervisors, and that's what we were asked to do, and we did that.
Okay.
Let's see, it's
So,
coming. I went forward, Ashley Goodis.
What's this?
No, that was
Oh,
my
that's
other-
you. Okay,
that's
then I
my-
didn't get it.
Yeah.
yeah, this came.
Never mind, I didn't get it.
from Jill, right?
Yes, you did, it's right there. It is right there, and Tom Kudo,
Oh, wait. I did get it. Where is
did
it?
you get it, Mr. Willingham?
I'm looking at it.
His screen looks a lot like mine.
Okay,
She's gonna throw it up there just so you got it, but,
I
so,
don't see anything.
1 minute. Is it on 2 or 1?
Is it just 3 pages?
It is.
Okay.
It's just a slide of 3 slides, a PowerPoint of 3 slides.
It's not a lot of power.
Not a lot of power, there's not a lot of power behind it. Okay, so the first slide is just to revisit what our mission statement is at Human Services. It's along a service array. We have many programs that are designed and designated to enhance families and their sustainability and not create dependence. And so then the second slide, if you just wanna shake over to that, my ask of you tonight for consideration is to add a children's long-term support case manager. I went through all of these components here of the intent of the program and all those types of things. The specific portion of children's long-term support is that it is designated for children under the age of 22 that have a developmental disability, a physical disability, or an emotional disability. And the intent of that program is community inclusion. And so it's working holistically with the family to not only meet those needs of the child and the difficulties that they may be having and all of the supports, but then it's also what the rest of the family is having going on in their family. The quick history that we had is that in 2018, so this program's been around forever, under our 5142 board responsibilities, we have the responsibility along a continuum of care for alcohol and drug, mental health, as well as developmental disabilities. And so this fits into that component. In 2018, the wait list from the state of Wisconsin was abolished. And so in the state of Wisconsin, there's not supposed to be a wait list for children's long-term support services. Rusk County has very infrequently before 2018 had a wait list. We had roughly 20 families on the program, and we just took them as they come in. Right now, we're doing that. Everybody that comes in the door, we screen them through a children's long-term support functional screen, and we determine eligibility based on a number of factors. That takes that. It's a very intensive process. The same thing that I'm talking about is if you talk about like WIC, women, infants, and children, we talk about birth to 3, we talk about children's long-term support, we talk about adult services, managed care, and EDRC as being a generalized continuum of care. Currently, right now, we have Michelle Kinney. It has been with us for 12 years as a case manager. We have Brittany Passanen, who came back to us. She used to work in our Children and Family Services section. She left us for a little bit, came on back, and she is a case manager in CLTS. Ashley Nelson is our supervisor from the Children and Family Services Department. The productivity, when we talk about productivity, this program is 100% paid for through Medicaid. So the upfront funding is specific to case management. Each one of those 2 case managers, they work the case, they have billable case notes, and then at the end of the year, the reconciliation is done to make us whole for those activities in children's long-term support. I've been here many times before, and I've told you, hey, this is a program that is paid for by Medicaid, a lot like Comprehensive Community Services. It's the same model, is that we as a county, all the counties are made whole through the Medicaid program upon reconciliation. Skipping ahead just a minute, I talked about the continuum of care.
So just a quick question.
Yeah.
This is not a, where you have a billing rate like the old,
Just gonna talk about that,
Yeah,
CCOP
yeah.
and COP and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yep. It's exactly the same model, is that in 2000, just going back, in 2019, our hourly rate was $67.88. For 2025, it's $112. And so for every billable hour, we get reimbursed $112. And then you also have your AMSO and overhead that takes into account your necessary non-billable time, and that's what you're reconciled on. So then that's what makes you whole.
so it's different than when we were billing for medical, or, or home care.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
billable rate was lower than the cost, always,
Correct.
and we were losing our.
And that's why in 2018, long-term or home health care went away, because your Medicaid reimbursement rates were so low, and so you couldn't match that. So in this case, you get made whole on the back end at year end. The most compelling component of this whole ask is if you'd hit the next screen for me, is this is what's happened to our program since 2018. The blue line are children's long-term support solely. And so you can see we had about 34 kids in 2018. We are now up over 65. I think there's 68 as of today. And then you have the red line, which is the screens that are being done. You can see how many new screens are being done. And then the black line is what's called a duly enrolled kiddo, is that you have a person under the age of 22 that is enrolled in both comprehensive community services and children's long-term support. They are very similar programs, but they are distinctly different in reference to what you can authorize and what you can't. So right now, we have over 100 cases of kids and families that are being managed by 2 service facilitators. And so that's the whole reason for my ask today, is to have the consideration of adding another full-time employee to meet the needs of these families. Super complex cases, screening, assessment, the whole works, the individual service plan, the determination of need, all of those types of things are very complex functions of this program. And so I was kind of a guinea pig. I call it a guinea pig, nobody else did. But I completed the sheet that
I was just gonna ask you about that.
came up with, and so I tried to dot the I's and cross the T's and all those kinds of things. I told both Ashleys, I said, this is a good sheet. Every department head is gonna come down and they should be able to answer every single question on here for you, to say as to, what's the need, and not just because I'm the department head, I should be able to come down and tell you, how is this going to help the program, what kind of efficiencies and those kinds of things. The only thing I can add to here is in the middle section, when you talked about the scoring, I wrote some notes in there, so when we're done here, if you wanna talk about me when I'm not in the room, I added some notes that are very specific, is when a kid is duly enrolled in children's long-term support and CCS, you can only bill one of both Medicaid programs, you can only bill one of them. And so there's a parallel track. There's a lot of good things that are happening in both programs, but you can only bill case management to one of them. And And so if somebody's in CCS, our service facilitators are billing for that. If they're in just CLTS, as the blue line is, then we are capturing all of the billable time through the CLTS program. So what I wrote on here, the only addition that I made, and I think Ashley Pittis was kind of getting at it with me, is we could do like a combo position. Okay, there's some agencies that do this. Is we could do, currently as we speak, one of our CCS service facilitators is going to move over to Children and Family Services. They applied for it and they accepted the position in Children and Family. So we're going to be down to 3 CCS service facilitators for a caseload of 58, I think we have right now in just CCS. And so that program's down a little bit. So what we could do here is we could have a combo position that would address both of those. It'd be the first time that we kind of do this, but I think it's something that is definitely doable to meet the needs of both of those programs and then experience and move along with any growth that we have. But again, good form. I came up with 23, and I think both Ashley and Ashley said, whoa, 23. And so they said, you must be a department head. And so you're of course gonna have a 23 in that type of thing. So, but I did make notes on there because there are some things there's not an ability to cost shift right now. These are Medicaid programs in this portion. These are Medicaid programs. And so even if we do a combo position, we're still banking on upfront hourly rate for Medicaid, and then the making you whole for the reimbursement at the end of the year. And so the only, I hate to be Debbie Downer ever. The only kind of Debbie Downer thing that I had a little bit was we have an issue of over 100 cases that are being managed by 2 people. They are doing a disservice because they're just constantly putting out fires. Each of them have, Brittany's only been here for a few months with us in this program, but Michelle is carrying a caseload of about 68 of those 100 cases, 105 cases, and as a result, you just don't have enough time to holistically approach the families when you just have sheer that many cases. There's a whole bunch of reporting that they have to do, incident reports, they have all kinds of things that they're required to do. And so, what questions do you have? I tend to bump through it because this is what we live every day, and so.
Yeah, I see that.
100%. I need $5.
I have a question. You talked about a combination position so that you would be, they would be covered, but you would be billing one or the other of the 2 Medicaid programs. Will that add any additional time that they have to spend, making sure that they're assigning it to the, as far as they're keeping track of their time?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Dave. So if you look at the line again, if you take that black line, and the ones that are duly enrolled, a portion of a brainstorm would be that if we have a combo position, one half of the combo position would be as the CLTS duly enrolled kiddos. So they would specifically try to address that portion of the caseload to free up the other 2. And then the CCS side is being done by the other service facilitators because that's low right now. Okay. And so if we have growth in CCS, we still have room because we only have 4 right now. We still have 2 that we could bring in.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't inefficient to be spending too much paper time keeping track of their time and for billing purposes. That's always a problem.
So the beauty of, just following up on that, the beauty of the 2 programs, 2 separate systems for an electronic health record. CCS, as a part of the mothership with Chippewa and the other 9 counties, is Avatar, is our health record. On the other side, we have HSFMS, which is an internal program that we built that tracks all the children's long-term support. And so you won't get lost in efficiencies bouncing back and forth. This is a big ask, and the reason I say it's a big ask is that not too many weeks ago, we were talking about positions in our county, and we're talking about expansion, we're talking about managing budgets and all of those types of things. The reason being here is what I said, is this is a fully funded position. And it's,
So in a sense then, correct me if I'm wrong, if you have two people, and don't take strongly, I'm just giving this for discussion. If you have two people managing 100 cases, right now you should be running in the black for what your billable hours are.
correct. So what we're doing is, this is what happened when CCS came along, is that we spread our AMSO, all our overhead, based on FTE count. And so what we're doing is we're paying ourselves back with the Medicaid for overhead, like your space, your telephone, all of the things that go into me, front gate staff, so on and so forth. We're spreading that across FTEs. And so by increasing, we're essentially taking from the rest of the departments in our area and lessening that down a little bit because we're adding an FTE. And so there's the ability to capture some of that AMSO and overhead is what we're doing with.
So that hourly rate you're talking about covers more than just wage.
Correct. So if we look at that, it's grade, let's see, this person would come in as a grade 10. Step 1 is $23.30. So again, based on this nice sheet that you guys put together, the cost is $78,435.73 with a full benefit package.
What are you getting reimbursed then?
So then,
Are you getting 78 or are you getting $100 an hour?
you will be made whole on all costs that we submit to Gears.
All
cost
billable, is it strictly billable hours or is it billable?
Billable hours plus.
Plus.
So what happens is, and this is maybe what you're asking, is productivity time at $112 an hour will never get you to 78,000 alone. Okay, and so again, the staff is putting out fires right now, and so that's what they're doing with their time. Not all of that is billable. Okay, and so at the 112,
So that's the gap.
if they were at the 112, if they were like 80% productive or more, then you're going to have a tipping point where you're going to collect more revenue, and Medicaid's not going to let you do that. Okay, because they're not going to let you get more than you're spending.
Let us cover our fixed expenses.
So they will. They'll let you cover all of the things that are included in your submitted cost. They're not going to let you make money on it. And so that's just like CCS. Sometimes I feel like this is what we do for a living, and I just kind of gloss over some of those details. So you got to check me on that, okay? Because it's just this is how we've done it since CLTS and CCS have come along. Medicaid's really opened up the doors as to what you can do with that money. Like Dave said, you've never been able to collect more than what your cost is. Well, now you roll your cost into a number with everything, and they pay that.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, so say you get down to 66 individuals in the program instead of 100. You're gonna cut to 2? Or can you still have 3, put more quality time into those individuals,
Exactly
and still collect what you need to from Medicaid?
Because here's what happens. This is again another detail. That's a super great question. Is that if our participation census dips down to 20, okay, like where we used to be, obviously we're not going to have enough work to where they're going to reconcile us to that. So we'd have to lay off the workforce. Okay, this thing's been going, like you see, forever. And so what'll happen is, if it was to dip down a bit, or even stay right where it is right now, that's the whole ask that I wrote on here, is that our case managers are able to spend that more quality time with the customer and the family to look at maybe other holistic things that they need. Fuel assistance, maybe the parents have an alcohol or drug issue, or they're experiencing domestic violence, or whatever, that we can get them to some kind of other service. It's not just narrowed in on the kiddo that has the qualifying.
So there's no like minimum caseload that a person would have to carry in order to.
this? That's another good question. So, when we were back at 20, we had one position, it was Michelle, that was split as the birth to 3 / CLTS worker. So she handled all 20.
Yeah.
That's just what she did. And then she did all the birth to 3 coordination and all that kind of stuff. Once we had to split that because of the caseload, the recommendation from the state is 25 to 30 per case manager. Okay. That's what the suggestion is. Just like in children and family, they say that it's 12 to 15. They say the same thing for CCS because you're supposed to be doing a wraparound service. You're really holistically wrapping them with the service. And if you have a smaller caseload, you can effectively do that. And so it's just gotten so out of whack. And it's in a good way. And again, I don't want to sit here and try to cheerlead this, but because of our relationship with the staff, with community providers, doctors, schools, kids are being referred for early intervention. We weren't experiencing that before. And so kiddos that are coming through that meet the WIC criteria, meet the birth to 3, they become a children's long-term support, they're receiving services on the continuum of care. And that then saves us deeper in service potentially as they become young adults and they maybe have behavior problems and some of those other afflictions that
And they head start on problems down the road.
It's early intervention.
This goes through your department, your committee already?
Yeah. So
They probably gave you a really hard time, I'm assuming.
well, they did because I had to run through I didn't have to run through the sheet, but my committee is rigorous. I mean, I try to beat them with a punch.
I'm just curious, so the trend seems to be rising considerably.
100%.
So, if this trend continues, will Medicaid allow you to add a 4th?
100%. So like, I'm trying to think like, again, apples and oranges. Like Chippewa County and Eau Claire County both are way ahead of the curve. They're adding like, they do, I call it like pods. They will add a supervisor and then staff to then be able to take off a chunk of their wait list because they just don't have the capacity. They have to have a wait list. The state like chews on them because they got a wait list, but they have to then take like a chunk of that wait list by adding like a unit. And so again, I could easily ask you today, I'm not, but I could easily ask you today that if I really wanted to be ahead of the game, I'd like to have 2. I'd like to have a CLTS worker by themselves, add to the mix with Brittany and Michelle. And then I'd also like to tell you that I'm gonna add a CCS / CLTS because we've never done that before.
And would that be Medicaid?
That's all Medicaid. So you guys have, the county board has afforded us the opportunity to have 6 CCS service facilitators total. Okay, way back in the day when I pestered you, I really let you have it about, I need 6. Because we had 80 plus customers at that point in time. We kind of plateaued. The people that are coming into the CCS program, they're doing what it's designated to do. Get in, get straight, get some sustainability, and then go on with your life with your own providers, okay? That's what it is. It went from 85, we're down to like 55, 56. That's what it's designated to do. But that ball should just keep rolling. And so 3 or 4 is perfect in CCS at this point in time. And I promise you, I'm not blowing smoke up your backside.
When I want something, when you talk.
You just gotta do the research. This is what we do. So I guess what I would say, I guess what I would say is, it's okay to tell me today, and again, this sounds weird I'm saying this to you. Jeremy, check your facts. Okay, Jeremy, can you come back to us in February and just make sure? Okay, because some things could happen between now and then. We'll have a month under our belt in January. I don't want to. My biggest fear is like, that something happens in the program. All of a sudden we hit a plateau in there too, and then maybe we don't need another person. We know we need at least one more. Okay, but I don't want to just race into the decision making and say, just because I came down and I told you a bunch of good stuff and we care about kids and families and all that kind of stuff, that we're just going to add positions across the board. Okay, these are the facts. These are the facts of when you go back, if you want to look at your email and you look at these 3 slides, I got a lot of narrative on the bottom that you can read that support what I'm telling you.
Okay.
So I'm.
So the risk is that you give us enough time to come up with a reason
Right.
to say no.
100%.
And you don't wanna do that.
I might be going the wrong way with that, but that's, I'm not here to sound super savvy. I'm not here to just like shake it up and just add staff. Because here's the other thing, I don't have any room. I'm, Mr. Caleb and I were talking about this. I have no more offices. If you come and see my office, I am in with the insurer. Okay? The cases of insurer, I'm in the office right behind.
Saves you walking.
It does. If we had a,
Pick one up.
if we had a refrigerator, I'd probably drink some during the day. But I'm literally in that little bitty broom closet thing that is right behind our reception staff. Because we have no offices.
So where are you gonna put this person?
I'm not sure. I might have to shift one of our fiscal people into that office, and then I would just be mobile. Because I don't need a space. The space is actually really good, because it's like, there's energy assistant stuff in there. I just need a spot to stand where I can put my computer to my 2 screens and I can go about my business. Okay, so I'll figure that out. That's the least of my worries
How
is,
many square foot was that old?
Yeah.
18,000?
The clinic?
yeah,
It's sitting there.
it's been said, that's not a bad idea.
Saying.
It's sitting there.
The only downside of that is the one-stop shop that I've been used to for 28 years. You come to this building, you get everything you need, okay? If you come out, if you were to do something like that.
So are you in a rut?
Yeah, time to move. That wouldn't be a bad gig, I'm just telling you, that
So you know the difference between a rut and a grave, right?
oh boy. I know,
The ends kicked out, yeah.
is that what it is?
Depth.
Okay. I can definitely tell you, I'm stuck in a rut.
Oh, you're stuck in a rut. So what are you asking us?
To approve this.
To approve this?
And a person.
You know, and again,
Fully funded.
Is there a step in a timeline?
Yep, we'd have to do a resolution, and I'd have to come to the full county board, because we're creating a position. There's no 2 ways about it. We're creating a position that is $78,435.
Now that's paid, we don't pay that up front. You get that automatically from Medicaid.
Nope, we pay that up front, and then
The county pays it up front?
Yep.
But then you get reimbursed.
So we go through a system that's called Gears. Laura and Brittany, they work in this system where they submit all of our cost, and Gears is DHS, Department of Health Services. We get that then reimbursed, usually in 45 days, give or take. Give or take.
45 days per, so the monthly?
Every month behind.
Every month.
Like DOT.
Well, month by, so,
Oh, Dave, I just had forgot.
Every month behind.
Yeah, it's, every one of our programs is like that. There is, I can't think of one thing that we get in real time. I don't think there's one.
We don't get advances anymore.
No, we don't. So,
it's like arrears. but-
yes,
Yeah.
it'd be nice if they paid us a little extra stipend because they're holding the money.
Paid every 2 weeks.
Percentage would be nice if they'd add on a percentage. Or if you're talking to your legislators, tell them that we'd like to have an increase in our state GPR funding. You don't mind?
That'll go over.
So I guess what I'm asking, you got what I'm asking. I'm asking for a CLTS worker. Okay, if we chew on it, I come back in February and we do it in March at the county board and.
What is gonna change?
Nothing. Michelle and Brittany. Brittany's coming back from maternity leave, so she waited 10 years to have a baby. You want to talk about celebrating something? They waited 10 years to have a baby, and they now have a baby, and so that's super good. And so Michelle is wrangling the squad.
From up north.
Yeah, passing them.
Yeah, I heard about that. I don't.
Very, very good. So.
You got this built into your budget to pay it until it reimbursed?
So again, it's paper math a little bit by saying that, is that I did not budget a capital improvement of a position. Okay? So no, to answer your question, I put on my sheet that this is not a budgeted position. And again, that's something that we weren't certain was correct when we were going. So again, I can submit something, again, I don't wanna rush into anything, but if I don't start by the
That's
ask,
the standard policy right now is that the county's general fund pays many expenses in other departments as well and gets reimbursed.
I think I also have to go to
Highway does that, don't they, Jim?
I think you have to go to finance too. Highway, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
And they bill
It's
for
another-
their time,
yeah.
for their hours.
Yeah.
it's another fact checker to get to, finance with it as well,
Okay,
so.
we have a motion.
I guess I could make a motion if you wanna do it right away, rather than wait.
I don't see why we should wait. I mean, if nothing's gonna
We
change,
don't
it's just,
have a resolution here.
No, and generally speaking, per the handbook, I go from my committee to
Motion
here,
would be
to
to-
finance.
Direct him to create a resolution and then members could come in and sign it if this motion passes.
You can bring it back to you again on the 17th,
What's that? Yeah, we could. Sign it on the.
especially being I'm not gonna be here, I mean, I'm just trying to help.
Speaking of that, you missed my finance conversation about projection. I was super disappointed.
Well, it wasn't there, so I don't know what I missed.
It's the best one ever. It was better than
Now
that.
you're making me almost feel bad.
Almost.
Well, you caught that, you caught that.
so where are we here?
If the motion is, I'm sorry.
Mr. Willingham has a motion on the floor to, approve Mr. Jacobs to bring a resolution forward to employ the children's long-term support position request for health and human services.
So
Forward to finance.
So generally speaking, I don't think we do the resolution per the handbook until I would go to finance and then bring resolution to the.
So then I won't request that to,
Let them come up with the resolution instead of us.
They'll instruct me to do a resolution, if that's the case.
You're gonna write it, no matter, you're not gonna get out of writing it.
The Ashley's or Chat GPT will help.
We get one more shot at it.
Motion was that you write it.
Correct.
Okay, specifically, I.
I said we get one more shot at your county board to correct your spelling errors no matter what.
100%, and you'll have one at finance too.
I don't know, you're gonna be able to slip it past me this month.
You'll be gone.
Gone.
When is finance?
They said the 16th, I think.
17.
17th.
Right.
So is there a personnel and finance on the 17th? Together?
No, finance is on the 16th, I think.
Personnel 17th, I know that.
Personnel is a 17th.
I will work with Ashley and Ashley.
I'll second Dave's motion. We never got a second, did we? Or did we?
No, we didn't.
did not.
No. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Jacobs.
Thank you very much for listening. Thank you. I do have one more matter whenever you're ready for that closed session. I gotta check.
No.
A brief interlude?
A brief interlude.
Are you guys going to that?
So years ago, I went to, on a cruise.
Yes.
And talked to Katie,
Yes.
a really nice place.
Oh, we did, but we went to Belize and that was horrible.
Yeah, and then when we got off the boat in Jamaica, there were, guys with, Uzis.
Why are we staying on the boat?
We were at Costa Maya and they
We
were
went
up
back
on
to
the
the
roof.
Huh?
We were at Costa Maya and they were up on the roof.
Yeah, no, that's not a good feeling.
That didn't feel very good.
No, we went right back on the boat.
We had a kiddo with us and.
Well, if they got machine guns, I think they're gonna get out of the boat probably anyhow.
Well, if they want to, they will.
Yeah.
But it did not feel very good.
While we have a few minutes, I have a question and maybe something that I'd like to see on a future agenda.
Okay.
And this would be for Ashley Glitters, and maybe Ashley Heath as well. Some years ago, I think we still have, for lack of a better term, lighthouse complaint, service or whatever, that's a third-party,
Whistleblower hotline.
website or something that we contract with. I think in the, at one time, your predecessor would, from time to time, come to the personnel committee and give a report on, we had 15 complaints in the last 6 months, or we had 2, and give us general nature of what those complaints may have been and how they were, nobody wants to see, the specifics, but just some sort of how they were resolved or what the nature of them was. Is that something that we could,
So, yes,
I mean, we also have a whistleblower policy, and I don't know what happens to that if somebody files a complaint against, I don't know.
right, so how we handle it currently, like since I started, and Rich kind of guided me and Ellie through this, is that since we had HR handled any kind of HR complaint with the department head that was affected, if it was an employee. If the complaint is alleged at a department head, then HR works with the oversight committee chair on that. So that's how we've been handling it ever since like Ellie and I were hired back in 2022.
So I think, I guess my question has more to do with whether that somewhere along the line we have a general idea of whether we're getting complaints or because at some point in time somebody's going to ask their board supervisor, I made a complaint and nothing happened or something happened or whatever happened, I don't know.
Right, so every time a complaint is lodged, something does happen, whether it's Ashley or I taking care of it with the department head or the chair, and we have documentation of all of that.
But is it possible to come up with at least a, again, not specifics, but just
like
a
there
general
was like
overview of,
one
say,
ethics complaint this month or something like
Yes.
that.
right, and then, it's that general nature of the question and whether, for instance, is there an appeal process? I know when we were doing family care, we got those kinds of reports every month. And they had to, there was a process where if the client, in that case, wasn't satisfied with the resolution, they could appeal that to some body at the state.
So we've had some of these, like in our department, some various things have come through, and if they don't like the review by the department head, then it gets escalated to the.
But at some point you say, okay, we had five, and 3 of them were resolved by the department head to the satisfaction of the complainant, and 2 of them went, appealed to the circuit court or whatever, but just a general idea, I think, because I think people wanna know if we get complaints or whistleblowers or.
Do you want to speak a little bit about how you handle?
Well, the complaints are very difficult because I don't know that I've had any of them put their name to them, so it's not like you can even know if it's resolved or
I'm sure
not.
they're almost always confidential.
Yeah, and most of them are employees, which is actually against what our handbook states, because our handbook flat out states that you shouldn't be using that to hide behind,
Yes.
an anonymous source. But I don't think we've had, a lot of them have been on department heads, a majority of them have, where then I've sent the whole complaint on to the chair of that committee, and there has been certain occasions where we've had a closed session in that oversight committee to discuss that complaint, and then the committee as a whole has voted on if they wanna take any action on that or not. And then other times, the chair of the committee might say like, nope, we've already discussed this in one manner or the other in the past, and they're re-bringing that back up, and so we don't need to put that on the agenda item. And so then what I do is I save that response with the Lighthouse complaint concern, and put that on. So we can definitely report. My only worry would be is we wouldn't wanna, some of even the high level details, we really wouldn't even wanna share those in open session.
No, I think it might have to be a closed session. But the other thing is, what happens to the person that made the complaint? How do they know that you got it?
A lot of times nothing, because they answer no to all the questions. Like, they do not want to be named, they will not cooperate in any investigation, they will not provide any proof. Like, all these questions that they ask, they always answer no to them. So it's really,
Great system. complain, but I don't, yeah, that's fine.
See, we had some come
and
here
like
before and it
99%
was,
of the complaints are
it seemed
that.
like a huge waste of time because you really didn't, there was no basis to the complaint other than just putting something, you didn't know if it was legit or if it was just someone
But you
upset.
don't notify, they don't necessarily get notified if, that you even received it or whatever.
No.
The lighthouse thing doesn't.
The lighthouse, well, it notifies them that it was sent, yeah.
But
And there
you
have
didn't
been
tell
times,
them it
like,
was received.
when I
in a sense.
first started, like, we would, because you can put a message back in the system to ask, like, follow-up questions, and we were doing that, but we weren't hearing anything back, from anybody on those.
Well, let's just think about it. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of committees going over
No, I don't
anonymous
wanna
complaints.
second guess any of that, I just
want
think
sort of a
it's good
trend
idea to
line.
know that if somebody files a complaint, then it's, yeah.
Okay.
And Rich Summerfield gets all of them too,
Oh,
so every single complaint goes to court counsel as well.
Okay, cool. Where are we?
Closed
Closed
session.
session, I believe.
Motion
Sorry, I
to
took
close
some
session.
time, but-
I think this is your last thing of the night.
So we need a motion to go into closed session, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman?
So move.
Second.
Consider employee compensation pursuant to Wisconsin Stats 19851C for considered employment, promotion, compensation, and performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the government body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. We're now in closed session.
All right, okay,
Yes, I-
take care.
Motion to adjourn.
I'm a,
Second.
you guys wanna stay here?
All in favor? Meeting adjourned, 6:21.